Okay, it's Friday the 13th. Ooh, and things are already a little spooky. I hope everyone's here. That's my bad. I accidentally set the show for 9:45 p.m. Eastern time. So I hope everything is working out right. I hope everybody's checking in. I don't know. But hopefully we're all good. Anyway, this is Friday the 13th. This is the 5th episode of season 4 of the Be Your Own Hero show. I'm your host. I'm Sekouwrites. I'm a professional creative and the creator of the Hero Ministry movement, which is my effort to uplift and inspire people in general and the unhoused community in specific. Once again, this is season 4, and the theme of season 4 seems to be Q&A. That said, today's Free Flow Friday. We're going to get into the Q&A quickly because there's a lot to talk about from this week. So let me zip through the other things. So Hero Ministry Movement news for the Hero Nation as named by Demetrius Short. All right, Hero Nation, today is day 347 of my Hero charity run. 347. And you know what? I'm not even going to play the video. Not even play it. It's only 60 seconds, but I'm not even going to play it. Check it out on social media. I want to use all the time, and I think it's going to go fast today. So check out the run story on social media. I just posted it. And anything else I want to say about that? Yes. Quickly, though. So the fundraiser for Brown Boys Read, as I said, is complete. We're just waiting for GoFundMe to reconcile the funds. And then I'm going to get that over to Demetrius Short, who I just mentioned. He is the national captain of Black Men Run. He's also the creator of the Brown Boys Read program. So it's funny because the donations over the $1,000 goal have set it such that the donation from me to Demetrius will be $1,000. Those extra donations took care of the fees, and I have to remember to calculate for the fees next time. So I'll be asking for a little more than the goal. That said, I got my next assignment. I'm not going to announce it yet, but I got my next assignment for the Hero Charity Run. This is what I'm going to tell you. It's going to be June, my birthday month, and I want to raise the full amount of the full amount of the goal. The full goal within the month of June. So a 1-month charity run push. June is a special month for me because it is the month that I began this run streak that is now getting very close to 365 days. So obviously this means that I'm going to go over 365 days because I want to run the month of June and I want to have a specific goal number to be concluded within the month of June. Yeah, that feels a little big and a little scary. I'm up for it. I hope you're up for it too. So stay tuned for that. Moving on, Dice Roll Challenge. The week has been Monday, $6, Tuesday, $1, Wednesday, $4, Thursday, $4, and Friday, Dice Roll Challenge. I dropped it, but it landed up right. The number is 1. Easy day. Friday is 1. All right. So there we go. 6, 1, 4, 4, and 1. Today's 1. Again, we're taking that money out of circulation to invest. It works if you work it. If you don't work it, guess what? It doesn't work. All right? So morning's in. 2 quick things. 1, as you know, if you've been watching the show, I've been doing transcendental meditation. I was inspired by Reverend Melissa to pull the trigger on transcendental meditation. Shout out to Nan. Nan has also signed up for transcendental meditation. Rev Mel is contagious, isn't she? It's contagious. So anyway, in this morning's transcendental meditation, sometimes there's quotes given, and this proverb was given today that I really liked. So let me read this proverb. It was good enough that I wrote it down in my phone. Check this out. Chinese proverb. A man who cannot tolerate small misfortunes can never accomplish great things. I'm going to say it again because it's deep and strong. A man who cannot let's change let's make it PC, politically correct. A person. Let's read it again. A person who cannot tolerate small misfortunes can never accomplish great things. A person who cannot tolerate small misfortunes can never accomplish great things. That's important because we often skip over our negative reactions to small things. We think it only counts when we have positive reactions to big challenges. Nope, those little challenges count too. You can't find the remote and you have a hissy fit, that counts. It counts against you, counts against your psyche. So make sure that you figure out a way to take a breath when you feel challenged by something all the time, all the time, all the time. Just take a breath, because you want to make sure that you can tolerate small misfortunes, because that is setting you up for great things. All right. So I said two things, but the other thing is really related to what we're going to talk about today. So, all right, I'll do it. So this is really, again, this is Mornings In. I'm still reading the book, How to Solve, what's the exact title? How to Solve All Your Money Problems Forever. I'm trying to get the angle right. How to Solve All Your Money Problems Forever by Victor Bach. Okay. The point of this chapter that I'm on, and this will probably be the theme for a while, is you must know what you want. It is critically important that you know what you want. So I'm going to say what I said before again, because it's really important, not just for you, but for me too. Studies have shown that only 2 out of every 1,000 people have a clear idea of what they want. Studies have shown that out of 1,000 people, only 2 have a clear idea of what they want. Emphasis on the word clear. All the rest of them have a general idea of what they want. They want something more, something better, something nice, something lovely, but not a clear idea. You got to have a clear idea. So that said, I'm going to read a little bit more of the book. So here's a really good quote. Most of us go through life not knowing what we want, but feeling darn sure that we don't have it. Right? That's really funny. And let me read this fictional transcript from the book. All right. So imagine you just show up at the airport, right? And you want to take a trip for your vacation. This is the scenario from the book. I'm just paraphrasing. You walk up to the counter and you say, hey, I'd like to buy a ticket. Okay, where would you like to go? Well, I'm not really sure. You want to buy a ticket, but you don't know where to? Yeah, I guess that's right. Well, I'm sorry, but I can't help you unless you know where you want to go. Oh, I don't really care. Just someplace where I can be happy and have a good time and have lots of money and smile a lot. I'm sorry, sir, but you need to know where you want to go. If you can tell me that, I can get you there. Otherwise, I can't help you. I'd love to, but I can't. So that's the story from this book. And the point is obvious. You got to know exactly what you want. You have to have a clear idea of what you want. So we can apply this very easily to this conversation about wealth and abundance that we're having now. So when I asked people to put the number 1 in the chat for the people who were invested in the stock market, I was surprised that there were only 2 people that put the number 1 in the chat. And I can add a few number 1s for me and my mom and for Rev Mel, but that's still not a lot of people. There's more than that watching the show right now. I can see the number of people. So what's everybody doing? What's up? Right? I think part of the disconnect is not having a clear idea of what you want. So that needs to be the first step. So let me give you some examples, because this is going to be the homework. Heads up, this is going to be the homework. Weekend's homework is getting a clear idea of what you want. So here's some examples. You could say, I want to create generational wealth for the next generation, for my children. That's a goal. That's a clear goal. You could say, I want to earn $50,000 a year. That's a clear, specific goal, right? It's just got to be specific. And never mind about whether or not you think it's possible. You want to be in that sweet spot where it seems like a stretch, but it's not, but it doesn't feel impossible to you. Like you want to hover right there, just inside your belief box, or just outside your belief box, just barely outside your belief box, right? For now, like you don't want to say, I want to make, $300 million, but you can't believe that. And it's like, because then you just throwing away paper in the wind. Like it's just going to flutter away. So you want to put your goal just outside your belief box, but it has to be clear. So that said, let me get into these things in the chat. Oh, I'm glad Margarita just popped in with another number one. She's invested. Oh, I can add one for Simone too. That's great. And by 2 accounts, that means you got 2 portfolios. That's dope. All right. So just looking at the chat right now. Yes, Nan, I'm glad you decided to take the leap for TM. Also, shout out to Nan for letting me know that the Hero hoodies aren't in the store. I was wondering why I wasn't getting orders of late, but I just figured, I've been distracted with the running, but the Hero hoodies are not there, which probably means they're out of stock. I haven't fixed it yet because I'm trying to decide what the universe is telling me. The universe is always in communication, right? Right, Linda? The universe is always in communication with us, and we just have to listen. So sometimes when we rush to fix something, we miss the message. So I'm not rushing to fix it. I will fix it as soon as I figure out what the universe is trying to tell me about how to move forward on that. Sidebar, Rev Mel and I need an intern, clearly. So if you got some ideas about that, let us know. Anyway, moving on. Shout out to the people in chat. Shout out to Linda, Tim, Nan. Oh, Tim, I'm always in pain. Sure, I'm always in pain, man. Like, don't get me started on sidebars, but really quickly, this is one thing that I've learned about pain. Like when you exist in pain, because we spend most of our lives trying to avoid pain and discomfort. All of us do it. That's what we do. We spend most of our time trying to avoid pain and discomfort. But when you live with pain and discomfort on a daily basis, then it takes a much bigger pain and a much bigger discomfort to even register for you. So you become more unstoppable in your daily life. Now, I'm not saying don't get things checked out, don't seek advice, don't get medical attention, all those things. But I'm telling you for sure that it strengthens you in terms of your resistance, in terms of what you can endure in the world. All right, no more sidebars. No more sidebars for me. Let me get back on track. So here, I got a list of things that were dropped in the chat this week, and I'm gonna try to get to them all. So I love the idea of generational wisdom. Somebody put that in the chat. I think that was Linda, put that in the chat earlier this week. So we're handing down not just generational wealth, but generational wisdom. In other words, here's this thing that I'm handing you, and this is how you work it. I have inherited stock before in my life, but I sold it. I just took the money. So generational wisdom could come into play there. Like, I'm giving you this stock. This is what you do with it. This is how you make the most of it. So generational wisdom, I love that idea for sure. Let's see what else. What to do with each portfolio. I mentioned this before. As I just said with Margareta, the accounts are called accounts at the brokerage house. So at TD Ameritrade, it's called different accounts, but the colloquial expression is portfolios, different portfolios. And you can decide what to direct each portfolio to do. Having gotten to where I am now, I would recommend starting with the index fund portfolio and then spin off from there. The index fund portfolio will be your quote unquote base coat. Like when you're painting the wall of a house, you got to put the base coat up and then you layer on top of that. So index funds can be the base coat. We've talked a lot about index funds. I don't want to spend too much time talking about that now, but index funds are in the safe aisle of Sam's, to use that analogy again. They're in the safe aisle. They're big, they're monitored, they're standardized. They have institutional investors, which is to say that companies are involved, companies own them. So it's a really safe place to put your money in the stock market. All right, moving on. Going down the list. Okay, so someone was talking about investing $40 a month. All right, so it really depends on what your goal is. Back to being specific. What is your specific goal? Because let's say if you're investing $40 a month, but what you want to do is leave generational wealth to the next generation, well, that's probably not going to be enough. Like if you sat down with your family right now and you said, hey kids, I'm giving you your inheritance early. I'm going to give you $40 a month. Well, that's not going to change their lives. It's going to be helpful for sure, but it's not going to change their lives. So if that's your goal, if your goal is I want to create generational wealth for the next generation, then you got to go heavier. You got to go hard. You got to go all in. You got to make yourself a little bit uncomfortable with how much you're investing for the long term. And the way you're able to do that is by knowing where to put your money. And as I just said, index funds are the most basic play that you could have. If you don't want to learn anything else, you can just open a brokerage account and start investing in index funds. If you can't buy an index fund all at once, you open an account with Robinhood or Cash App. No, not Cash App. Let's just stick with Robinhood. You open an account with Robinhood that allows you to buy fractional shares, and you just keep buying $40 a month of the S&P 500 until you own a full share. And then that will inspire you to get another full share and another full share. And then you would hand down that portfolio of index funds with firm instructions not to sell it. This is a snowball rolling downhill. That's a generational wisdom. Don't sell it. Trade off of it, but don't sell it. Okay. Rolling down the list. All right, so someone said that they don't have any outside money. They're working with the pool of money that they have. Okay, I get that, but get some outside money. Remember that the average millionaire has 7 different streams of income, right? 7 different streams of income. So you got to create some streams of income. Now, I've mentioned the fact that I'm doing video editing work and live streaming work now, but I still do DoorDash. I've reduced the number of hours that I do DoorDash, and 100% of the money I make from DoorDash goes into the stock market. 100%. So once you figure out what to do with your portfolios, like you've got all your portfolios set up, you got your index portfolio, you got your dividend portfolio, you got your lifestyle portfolio, whatever. You've got your various portfolios. You need some income to fund those various portfolios. Yes, they will fund themselves. They will generate dividends. They will buy shares of themselves if you have enough shares of stock, but you've got to feed it though. You've got to feed it actively. So just like me, you could do DoorDash. You could do 1 delivery a day. And by the way, there are plenty of gig jobs. The gig economy exploded during the pandemic. So DoorDash, Postmates, Uber Eats, Uber, there's so many. Like literally, if you just Google gig economy jobs, you get a whole list of apps that you can download to your phone and different things that you can do. Did you know that there's one that will pay you to drive where you're already going? Like there's so many things. Just look it up. But get some income. Moving on. Someone was asking about the show notifications. I don't know. I mean, Mercury's in retrograde, so it might be that. But also, you know what time the show comes on. Show comes on same time every day, 5 days a week. My show and Rev Mel show. So make sure that you take an active step. Like don't rely on notifications because we don't know what's going to happen with notifications. Anything could affect those. But you know the show time. So make sure you take an active step towards being engaged with the show time because the way you do one thing is the way you do other things. If you take an active step, if you take a proactive stance on that, that will help you take a proactive stance on investing too. It's all interrelated. Moving on. So someone said that they've spent their life up until now being undecided, not being clear about what they want. Okay, that's real. And the invitation is the same. The invitation that we've talked about in the course of today's episode is be clear about what you want. and I'm going to just give you the homework now because I'm probably going to repeat it a couple times. Take the weekend to write down what you want. No specific number of things, but be specific for yourself in terms of clarity. Don't just write more money, right? $500,000 by Christmas. Be clear about the amount and the deadline, right? Just be clear. So everybody, not just the people who put the ones in the chat, everybody should do this. Be clear about what you want, because when you write it down, you might discover it's different than what you were thinking in your head. So write it down, what you want. Be clear about it. Okay, moving on. Someone asked about Acorns and is there interest in Acorns? Yeah. See, here's the thing though. Acorns is really a way to invest in mutual funds. And we've learned on this show that mutual funds are not really our friends. They're not really our friends. So at Acorns, it'll give you an option to invest in moderate, aggressive, or conservative, like just 3 options. But we know more than that now. What's the dividend yield? What's the PE ratio? Like what is the dividend X date? Like when are you gonna pay the dividend? Like what are the positions that you're in? Like we have educated ourselves to the point where just having 3 options doesn't really serve us. But it's a decent place to quickly and easily store money, to move someplace else. Like when I got Acorns, I was thinking of this as my investment. This is where I invest money. But now I've learned so much, so I'm like, that's just a holding spot. I like it because it does the roundups. By the way, I should mention that the roundups don't work for me anymore for whatever reason. And so what I set up a couple of days ago, just this week, is recurring investments on a monthly. So again, still the point is it's easy to put money there into this Acorns. And then you can transfer the money elsewhere when you need to. So to answer your question though, yes, it does pay interest. It does pay dividends. Like you don't know where you're getting the dividends from, but you'll get notifications that you made X amount of dividends here and there. But again, given our body of knowledge now, that's not a place where you want to keep your money. I am thinking of it as a place to store money and then move it. By the way, there's also a monthly fee of $3. So like you've got to make sure that you're putting more than that in. You got to factor in the fact that there's a $3 fee, right? So again, I suggested Acorns for myself as a place where I can put my emergency fund and my emergency tax fund. So I could have a goal of keeping $2,000, having at least $2,000 in that account to be used for emergencies and to be used for taxes. And that can be transferred out whenever I need it, or it can keep accumulating until I do need it. So that's what I believe I'm going to try for myself. Okay, so, did I get everything? Wait a minute now. Wait a minute. Oh, the S&P 500. So the S&P 500 is really 2 things, and I don't want this to become confusing because it confuses me a little bit too. It's 2 things. So when they talk about it on the news, they're talking about basically the health of the economy. They use the S&P 500 and the Dow to talk about the health of the economy, right? But also they are purchasable. So you can buy index funds that mimic the movements of the S&P 500, right? And there are multiple options available. So Standard & Poor's is a company that creates financial products. And one of the items that they offer is the SPY, which is a fund that mimics the S&P 500. So also Vanguard is another company that creates financial instruments. And they also sell a product that mimics the S&P 500. So just think about it like, do you want to buy your sneakers from Sam's or Target? Right? They're both selling the same sneakers. And the sneakers might be a little bit cheaper over here than over there, but it's the same sneakers, right? So that's the way to think about it. There are a number of different S&P 500 indexes that you can buy from different companies. Standard & Poor's and Vanguard are just 2 companies of many. So I think last time I checked, there were about 8 or 9 different S&P 500 index funds. I went with the first 2. I went with SPY and VOO. basically Standard & Poor's and Vanguard. I went with those two. I bought both because I wanted to see if they moved any differently. I will say thus far, I like VOO better because it's a little less expensive than SPY and seems to be gaining interest faster. And that might be just because it costs a little less. I'm not sure, but I got a little bit of both. This also relates to the other indexes, like the Dow. So someone asked me, is there an index fund that covers the Dow? Yes, there is, just like there's one that covers the S&P 500. It costs around $300, a little more than $300, and it gives you exposure to all 30 of the Dow components, meaning all 30 of the stocks that are included in the bucket of the Dow. That said, sidebar, I was and still am shocked that there's only 30 stocks in the Dow. The S&P 500 has 500 stocks. The Dow has 30. So having been working with the S&P 500 this long, I am very encouraged and inspired by the fact that the Dow only has 30 stocks. And I have made it a personal goal to create a portfolio that only carries the Dow stocks, one each of the 30 stocks. So I've been ticking them off. I've got 5 in there so far, meaning 5 single shares of those 30 stocks. So I've got 25 to go. And once again, they are really inexpensive. They start at $44 per share. So taking this all the way back to goals and clarity, if your goal, if you don't have a goal and you still want to start investing, then I think this is the best project. There's two that I like a lot. Project number 1 is create a portfolio where you acquire all 30 of the Dow components. Because in the process of doing that, you're going to learn a lot about yourself, about your tolerance, about your risk tolerance, about how you move, what your price points are. You know how some people, you go to a hotel or you're booking a hotel and you have a price point for what you think is a good rate to pay. You're like, I'm not going over whatever the number is. So you've got to develop that for the stock market. Like, what's your price point? And this will help you because you're starting at $44. Like, anybody can buy a share of a stock for $44. I feel like that's within everybody's wheelhouse. $44. Come on, right? You jump in there and you start leveling up slowly and you see where you start to have resistance. By the time you finish building that portfolio, you'll know much more about yourself and you'll know much more about investing. And in the process of doing that, you can figure out what your clear goal is, because you got to have a clear goal. It doesn't work. None of this works without a goal. I'm telling you, I said it before, I'm saying say it again. My only investment tool coming into the pandemic was Acorns. $200 in Acorns. And I felt like I was doing something, right? But once I started dabbling in the stock market, and my first investment, just a reminder, my first investment in the stock market was $1, a single dollar, and I was terrified that it was going to vanish overnight. But it didn't, and it started paying me dividends on $1. And so my knee-jerk reaction to that was, oh, if they're paying me for $1, how much will they pay me for 5, for 10, for 15? How much will they pay me for a full share? How much will they pay me for a bigger share of a different position, like the S&P 500? So you got to have goals, and the goals will stack on themselves, and that stacking is what will help you move forward through this world of investing. Okay, I think I got to everything from this week. I think I did. So homework, once again, is to get clear about what your goal is, your specific clear goal is in terms of money. Do that over the weekend. Write it down. If you can't figure it out, I only mentioned one of the 2 projects, but I'll mention the other one again next week. If you can't figure it out, do the project I just mentioned, which is build a portfolio of the Dow components. It's only 30 stocks. They start at $44. And in the process, you'll figure out what your goal is. That's what I got. So that said, it's time for prayer time. I'll check out the comments right after the show because I ran my mouth throughout the whole show, and then come back at 10:30 Eastern Time for Sit with Rev Melissa. And make sure you do your homework. Be a hero. Be your own financial hero. But over the weekend, do your homework. Be specific and clear about what you want. So we can come in to the show Monday knowing what we're doing. All right? Remember that now is better than perfect. And I will see you next week. Later. Sorry, wrong outro. That's her outro. Here's my outro.